This is a big effing deal.
You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com, the only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans. Tune in every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. Call in and leave a message to be played on air at 408-909-PJFF. This episode brought to you by Creative Media Design Studio. Check them out at creativemediamonterey.com. It's time to pillage another podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Stapler. What's good, Che?
Man, I'm living life, man. Feeling good. How you?
Feeling great. Feeling good.
How are you? Yeah, man.
Just want to say that this show is co-produced by Raider Kane, who helped us to land our big guest tonight.
Yes. Props to you, Kane. Props to you, man.
Got to give him the producer credit.
Yeah.
Kane won't be joining us for the interview tonight, but he did pass on his questions, so we will be asking that. And Kane will be coming on in the second segment of tonight's show. So Kane's Corner, brought to you by NFLShop.com, will be here tonight, so stay tuned for that. And Jason Cole will be up in the first segment. But how was that press conference, man?
It was good, man. I was telling you, man. We were talking about this, but it felt good. It felt good.
Yeah.
And the look of Gruden, little like you said, a little gleam in his eye.
Mm-hmm.
It made me feel good about it, man. It made me feel good. And I know we there's still questions to be answered and nothing's for sure, but definitely there's a feeling of hopefulness and excitement, man. I'm excited, man, to see what Chucky's still got, man. See if he still got it. You know?
Yeah, man. Like I've been reading on all these different articles. I found an article from a couple years ago that was on Bleacher Report where staff had gotten a tour of the Fired Football Coaches Association, where Gruden has a state-of-the-art video bay. He's got 4 different video vaults. He's got everything digitized. He's basically invites players and coaches over. Coaches come over. They got to bring practice tape. They got to bring something. That's their ticket to get in.
Yeah.
And this guy's been updating and maintaining his playbook from the Tampa Bay roster, and some plays in there from the Raiders roster. And apparently, it just seems like this guy's been preparing for this move for a very long time. He's just been waiting for the right time.
Yeah.
It's a part of his illness. He's clinically diagnosed insomniac. Chose not to go on meds. Got the endorsement from his doctor that if he wants to use that to his advantage to pursue something he loves, to do it, as long as his health doesn't fail him. And he's like the youngest 54-year-old guy I've ever seen.
He is, right? He is, man. Yeah, he looks juiced, man. Mm-hmm. And for anyone that had any doubts as to whether Gruden was a Raider or not, the first thing that he said when he talked about Charles Woodson, first thing that came out of his mouth, he said, "I saw Charles Woodson today." And Brady fumbled that ball. So that's just to let you know he is a Raider, because every season, every single one of us says the same damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We don't live that down. That never disappears. And you can tell that's never disappeared for him. It gives you a little bit of that, oh, man, Gruden's for real, man. He's a real Raider.
And he got there at 8 o'clock for 12 o'clock press conference. I'm pretty sure he's still there. He took time to sign balls, autographs for fans waiting out there. You know how we do. I couldn't get out there. I was doing work out there in the community, but we came home on the lunch break. I watched it on YouTube.
Yeah.
About 5 minutes after it ended, I think.
I'm not gonna lie, I watched it at my desk at work, man.
I
just pulled that up, man.
The press conference, it was.
This is a big effing deal.
It was a big effing deal.
Yeah, it was.
And this whole situation's a big deal. I'm still critical. I'm still waiting to see
course.
mode. And that has nothing to do with John Gruden. That has more to do with my life as a Raiders fan. Just drinking.
It's a lot of trauma.
It's just drinking vats of Kool-Aid every offseason. And every time it seems like something's going to go right for us, something else happens.
Right.
And that's kind of where we're at right now. Speaking of which, the Raiders now under investigation for possibly violating the Rooney Rule.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so one good thing happens, and then this happens, which the other shoe's yet to fall. We don't know what comes of this.
Right. So my question to you is, what's the punishment that the NFL will have on the Raiders if they're found guilty, man?
My sources tell me that we'll be forced to hire Art Shell again.
That's harsh, NFL. That's fucking harsh, man.
And And that's no disrespect to the Rooney Rule. It's just sort of a commentary on. I get it. Like nobody should be exempt from the Rooney Rule, and it was put in place for good reason. But you're really gonna bust our balls?
Yeah, man. Come on now. Most people compare the Raiders to the Dodgers in the sense that we're the ones that broke that barrier.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
So my thing is, how many teams in the NFL haven't even hired a minority coach for their head coach, let alone 2 of them?
Washington comes to mind.
Yeah, Washington comes to mind for sure, right? They still got that racist logo on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man, my question is how many teams, how many other NFL teams have yet to even hire one when we've already hired multiple?
2.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3, really. Arshell twice, Tom Flores once.
Exactly.
Plunkett as a quarterback, Native American.
Exactly, man.
And Dodgers, Brooklyn Dodgers, Al Davis. Where's he from?
Brooklyn.
He's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And that's what they said. That's kind of where he got his feelings for the sport too. Is like, yo, I don't see color. I just see players, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So more quick hits. Bisaccia. Say that. Say
Bisaccia.
Bisaccia. That's just a tight ass name. New special teams coach Bisaccia was the assistant the past 4 seasons in assistant head coach, special teams coordinator for the Cowboys past 4 seasons, and was special teams coach and running back coach for John Gruden during his entire 7-year period with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bisaccia has done pretty good for himself over there in Dallas. Since 2013, he's helped Dan Bailey become one of the league's most accurate kickers. He's turned Chris Jones into a good punt returner and brought the most out of rookie returner Ryan Switzer, who returned for over 800 yards in 2017. Bisaccia was also the one guy to catch the Raiders off guard on Sunday Night Football with a fake punt. Do you remember that?
Do you remember the... No.
Brat, brat, So yeah, Bisaccia, he's on the team now. We got Greg Olsen returns. I know a lot of people are throwing up their hands at that look. Well, I'm not going to say what's not or what he's been said already. Gruden's going to be calling these plays.
Yeah, man. He said it at the press
He
conference.
said it himself.
I'm calling plays.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
That's what he's always done.
Yeah, that's what he's done, man.
Greg Olsen, as you know, has worked for with Derek Carr before. Actually got a lot out of Derek Carr when he was first here. Yeah. Remember when Olsen was OC, he also had to deal with the likes of Matt Flynn, Terrell Pryor.
Right.
Didn't have a whole lot to work with.
Right.
Again, not to be concerned about because he's not going to be calling plays over here. But he understands the rhetoric. He understands the language of the system. He understands Derek Carr and what he can get out of him, what the tendencies are. Hopefully we can get him back to where he was. It seems like he's lost a lot of those tendencies, as you can tell from a lot of his throwing motion. Last year, it just mechanical breakdowns, much like a pitcher in baseball. Sometimes you got to reset your pitcher,
right,
and you got to get him right back in there.
Another thing Gannon said is that he noticed that he kind of gets a little lazy with his footwork, and he's like, I think what he really needs to work on is his footwork,
right,
and use his feet, man. Run more. That doesn't mean you have to run for 1,000 yards, but move when necessary. You know?
My take on it is, he's a great foil to Gruden's insanity. It's a good cop, bad cop situation now.
Right.
And I like that dynamic.
And it gives Carr someone familiar, right? Some familiarity with somebody that's worked with him in the past. It kind of gives Gruden a little bit of inside knowledge too, because, he has that experience with him. But, I was the same way. Really? Greg Olsen? But like I said, right? Playbook is Chucky's, and he's going to be calling the shots, so.
And we haven't hired a quarterback coach yet, and I don't know if we have to. I know Pep Hamilton was supposed to get an interview, but it would seem like Greg Olsen's going to be also playing that role as well. And as you know, Gruden spends a lot of time with his quarterbacks. He told you himself. So that's a good segue to Rich Gannon. Gannon's out.
Yeah.
Gannon's out. He's taking the check down on this one. And I think his response was really honest. He said the reality hit him on the plane flight over to Oakland.
Right.
As some of you may know, Rich Gannon lives in Minnesota with his family. Not a place I would want to live because of the cold, but a good place to raise a family. As you know, he spent a lot of time there. I've actually heard a lot of good things about Minnesota. It's a good sports town, and just understands the intensity Gruden brings and what he would have to bring.
Right.
And was just honest with himself. He's like, I'm not going to be able to match that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he wasn't prepared to match that. That's what he said. I'm not prepared to match that yet.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future.
Looking at you, Todd Downing. Be honest with yourself. But he did say that he would like to serve as a mentor to Carr in any way possible.
Yeah.
And that's great. So I expect them to probably meet up in the offseason. Probably going to be, be on that Rich Gannon hotline. He's going to have that text message.
Right.
So, Gannon's going to be hitting him up in Messenger too, so he knows when it's been read. Or iMessage. He's like, I know you read that.
So where's your response?
So, I'm sort of relieved. The one thing I didn't want was a big former Raiders player reunion on the sideline.
Yeah.
Rod Woodson's out, which I'm actually happy about. I think Rod Woodson's a solid dude.
Yeah,
he's a great guy. Sure. Represent the organization. Had a tremendous career when he was here and before he was here. Right. Just one of the all-time greats at his position. But from what I've seen, in two positions, yeah. And from what I've seen, he's just not a great DB coach. Yeah. I mean, from what I've seen.
Well, you know what they say, man. Sometimes, the saying is that a great player doesn't always make a great coach, right? And it's because they expect things to be done the way that they would have done them, and some people just don't have that talent, man. They just don't have that talent in them.
And I know some of you are thinking like, well, what did he have to work with? You know what? DJ Hayden's doing pretty good over in Detroit right now. Not too shabby over there. Yeah. So what I have to say to that is when players are rough and they come in and they have bad tendencies, great coaches can coach up players to be great or at least good, solid, reliable. And I haven't seen that out of Woodson. I think, is this his second shot here or has he been here all along?
I think he's been here.
He's been here for a while. So, I hate to say it, because I think very fondly of Woodson and I know a lot of people like him in there. It's fun to see these guys' faces on the sideline. Right. But we got John Gruden on the sideline now. Yeah. So you need anything more than that, you come talk to me about it, and I'll see what I can do for you. But you have to stand pat with that. So Gannon's out. Rod Woodson's out. And, Willie Brown's not down there anymore. Blindikoff obviously not down there anymore. And those guys serve their time. They're legends. We honor them. But it's 2018 now, and it's the NFL, and it's time to give it the program. Yeah. So let's get back to the coordinators. Paul Guenther, who is probably the coordinator I'm most excited about them bringing on. I think in general, most people are excited about this. Overall, Cincinnati defense isn't ranking so high, but when you break it down by statistic and the stats that count, they actually look pretty good. So I have some of the numbers here, and we can take a look at it.
Let's do it.
So this is from Silver and Black Pride. This was written by Carl Cockerham. This is actually a really good article. So Paul Guenther, in the time that he's been there, the Bengals were ranked 12th in 2014, 2nd in 2015, and 8th in 2016 in points allowed. Against the pass, the Bengals were ranked 11th in 16, 8th in 17, and the Bengals defense were number 3 in NFL interceptions in 2014, 2015, and tied for 4th in 2016. We need that.
Yeah.
Under Guenther's watch, the highest passer rating the Bengals gave up was 83.1. The team gave up passer ratings of 75.8, 78.9 in 2014 and 2015, respectively. Comparing that to the 2017 Raiders, who had the fewest INTs in the league with just 5, they gave up passer rating of 101.8, the third worst in the NFL. Yep. Look for an improvement in the pass defense under Paul Guenther. His philosophy, Gruden already kind of gave a little bit to you. It's the double A gap. So what this looks like is if you got a 4-3 base defense or if you have a nickel defense, which is essentially an expanded 4-3. Right. It's the 4-3 with an extra DB on the field. If you want to think about it like that. Basically 4 down linemen is what I'm getting at. Get your 4 down linemen, and rather than the linebackers playing off the line of scrimmage, they're crouched down in that A gap. They're in between the defensive tackles, just a hair off the line, just the butt hair off the line, and that provides sort of a bluff, if you will, right? Are they going to rush in? Are they going to drop back into coverage? Immediately forces your tackles into one-on-one with the ends. And that's great because, as you know, we got a all-pro.
We got some studs at the end.
We got some good players over there.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. So also specializes in just disguising his coverages altogether. Safety's crouching down on the line, pulling back. Safety's blitzing, cornerback showing blitz, not blitzing, zone. He plays a lot of type man, not necessarily a lot of bump and run. But as you know, our personnel geared more towards the man, lining up on the line of scrimmage, not 5 to 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, not the cover 3, not the cover 2, not the cover 2 sink. Not the cover 6, not the cover 9, not the cover 4. You got to mix those things in there, but we got physical man-to-man corners, namely Smith, who we saw showed more promise and more success when playing that role this season.
Right.
And it seems like he gets off to a bad start these last 2 seasons, and it really quiets down for Sean Smith. So we have your back, Sean. All signs point to Reggie Nelson not being there. Gunther's got some young talent to play with. We're going to enter Conley, enter Obi, and then possibly Minka in the draft. We don't know where that's going to go. It can go a lot of different ways, and we'll be talking about that as we go through. But do you like this Paul Gunther signing?
I do, man. I do for the very, very exact same reasons that you just stated, right? Our biggest deficiency right now, and specifically since we've made the adjustments to the players up front and over the middle in the linebacking core. Is that the DBs and the passing game. We are deficient in that area. We don't stop the passing game well, and we don't create enough coverage pressure, right? So guys like Mack and Irvin don't get enough time necessarily to get to the quarterback. And if Gunther can change that with bluffs or whatever, and just schooling up those DBs so that they do better one-on-one or in their coverage, then I think we're going to see a big improvement in the amount of, quarterback sacks or contacts or hits or whatever it may be, which votes well, because you're hitting the quarterback, 2 things are going to happen. You're going to either help him to fumble the ball, or he might get rushed and throw the ball up for grabs, and that's where the INTs come.
That's where INTs come from. Rarely does a quarterback just throw straight into the arms of a defender. Well, we've seen that.
Yeah,
we have seen that.
We have seen that.
But it's usually pressure. Pressure causes interceptions, and we talked about the duality and the symbiosis of pass coverage and pass rush, and how those things work together and they benefit. Prior to Gunther being a DC in Cincinnati, Mike Zimmer was a DC over there, and he sort of mentored Gunther up. During that time, Gunther was known to create a lot of the linebacker blitzes and just blitzes in general that Zimmer ran. Now, the word is that Marv Lewis over there is more of a straight-up defense kind of guy. He doesn't like to blitz a lot, and might be part of the reason for Gunther wanting to exit the program, and plus the opportunity to coach alongside John Gruden. It was pretty exciting. So not only is he bringing a scheme that I think works with our personnel, but he's bringing a creativity that we desperately need in our defense. I would really like to see us dial up the blitz a little bit more. Right. The tools are there. We have athletic guys on defense that really need to cut it loose and get after the quarterback. Also, when not rushing, he's a big fan of the twist and the stunt, which we actually saw a little bit under the Pagano system towards the end of the year. So, and that was working for us.
It was.
So expect finally, hopefully, some productivity out of our defense this year. Yes, a lot of young cats, a lot of moving pieces. We don't know what's going to happen in free agency, but look for a brand new, fresh defense to take the field in 2018.
I like it.
That's exciting, right?
Yes, it is.
Quick hits. Raiders have received permission to interview Dolphins offensive line coach Dave
Googly Moogly.
Googly Moogly. Dave DeGuglielmo for Oakland's offensive line job. It should happen on Monday, the interview, that is. Good news. He's a good offensive line coach. Miami's had success over there with him. Stout offensive line. Also, Colts running back coach Jamal Singleton is taking the job as running back coach under John Gruden. So I don't know much about Singleton, so I looked him up. Gore, as you know, Gore over there finishing out his career in Indianapolis has run for a combined 1,986 yards over the past 2 seasons with the Colts. And it's a 22nd ranked rushing attack, which isn't stellar. And prior to his time in Indy, Singleton was the running backs coach, and he coached Alex Collins over in Arkansas, who ran for 1,577 yards with 20 touchdowns on 271 carries, which were all career highs. Collins would pass up his senior season and enter the NFL draft. So he's had some success over there too. And as we mentioned earlier, Bisaccia, former running back coach, and John alluded to the fact that he's very versatile. So this sounds like a staff that's really going to be working together.
Right. And that's good. We should be all on the same page.
Yeah, we absolutely should be. So that's good, man. That's where we are right now in terms of coordinators. There'll be more news coming down the pike soon. Look for more signings to happen next week, and we'll keep you guys all abreast of that. So make sure you follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. Just follow us to work.
Follow us on Facebook. Follow us to work.
Don't do that.
Don't follow us to work.
That's just weird. It's just really weird. All right, well, it's about 8:10 here, Pacific Standard Time. We're going to take a short break. This is not the break, and we're going to get Jason Cole on here, and we'll be right back. Of course, you won't feel the break.
Yeah.
Production. Feel the fire. Maybe I should just let it go dead air. For real, though, if you guys want to peek into the studio and kind of what happens here during the breaks, we will be going to YouTube this offseason.
Oh.
I'm not going to be editing those. We're going to be going live to YouTube, so there'll be no cut downs. You'll see all the potty breaks. Not in the bathroom. We won't be micing up the bathroom. But
got a strong stream.
Healthy stream there. Are you eating kale? Is that asparagus, bro? My bad, bro.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, so that'll be the unedited show. You guys will be able to watch live, and then the show will be parked there. So those of you that prefer a video feed, it's coming. We're getting there. We're just looking at getting some better lighting here because we keep it real dim.
Yeah.
Real moody up in here. And yeah. All right. So without further ado, we got Jason Cole on air with us. How you doing, Jason?
Good. What's going on?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us. As you guys know, Jason Cole writes for Bleacher Report. How do people find you on the interwebs, Jason?
Well, you find me at my Twitter handle is at Jason Cole 62. So that's the best place to find me.
Good to know. Good follow. Make sure you guys follow him if you're not already. I'm sure a lot of you out in Raider Nation are. It's a good place to get news. So, Jason, just right off the bat, Kane sent in a question, and he wants to know, he'll be joining us later in the show, but he wants to know if you think Gruden's about to blow up this roster, or are we in win now mode? Is he just going to bolt on parts to the roster that we have now, free agents excluded, guys that are going to leave the team, or is this going to be a massive overhaul? What are you thinking? How do you see this lining up?
Gruden's not a rebuild guy.
No.
Gruden is a win now. He's a win now and win always. I mean, one of his biggest problems in Tampa was after they won the Super Bowl, he kept trying to win every single season rather than strip the roster down at some point in time and say, okay, we're going to do a permanent rebuild and try and find a way to be good long term. He was always bringing in, if you see the pattern of what he did, always bringing in veteran guys who basically knew how to play. He didn't want to joke around with a lot of rookies, which was part of his undoing in Tampa those last 6 years, and why he was basically a 500 coach. And now some of it's not his fault. They didn't have a lot of draft picks because they traded them away to get him. But that said, Gruden has never had an appetite for long-term planning. Even though he's now got a 10-year deal, I don't think that's going to change.
Like he says in the famous mic'd up video, I'm not going to be a real patient guy now.
Right.
Yeah, him and Bruce Allen.
Yeah, I mean, and that's always been a problem. That's always been a problem, and that was one of the problems he got into in Tampa. That's why he wasn't patient with Rich McKay. He didn't. That's why he basically ran Rich McKay out after that first year. They had the Super Bowl year and then one more year, and McKay left for Atlanta, so did Tim Ruskell, and they brought Bruce Allen in. So I'll say this: with one of the concerns I have about Gruden, and look, he's a great coach. So he's very good to great. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl, so that puts him in special territory. But he's also had some downside. But one of the things I worry about is you gave this guy all the money. He's clearly the star. What's the power structure between him and Reggie at this point? Like, who's subservient to who? If Gruden says, I want this, and Reggie says no, Mark Davis is the tiebreaker. Who does he side with? I think it's going to be Gruden.
Yeah, judging by the look on Mark Davis's face at that press conference, it's definitely Gruden. And just kind of judging by how that played out and the rhetoric and everything that was used, all the language in that press conference, it seems like Gruden is low-key in charge of this organization right now.
Right.
In a way. He's got a lot of power, right?
Right. Well, he's Bigfoot. You don't give somebody $100 million and don't give them power. Even if the structure says that the general manager gets to pick the players, don't kid yourself. The guy's making the $10 million bucks.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have a say. I mean, I still remember that it was the year that it was 2003, the 2003 draft. After they had won the Super Bowl, it's 3 months after that, or in April. First day of the draft, Tampa Bay has the last pick of the third round, and right then they take Chris Sims with the last pick of the third round. Good value for a quarterback at that point in time, and Gruden blew a gasket and just ripped McKay and Tim Ruskell that night. Marched into their office, banged down the door, and screamed at him for taking Sims without talking to him first. And that's just the way that Gruden is. So, good or bad, you're going to know his opinion. And good or bad, now that you're paying him $10 million, you're really going to know his opinion.
The way I see it ideally working out is Reggie being more in charge of contracts and probably having an eye on the draft with major influence by Gruden, and then the free agency, Gruden definitely taking the lead there, and he's a magnet for free agents now. At this point, it's more buy-in from free agents around the league. So that's ideally how it works in my mind. It's probably not how it works in real life.
Well, I mean, they did a pretty good job bringing in free agents a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
Guys like Asomali and Hudson, Crabtree. That hasn't been their problem. They're willing to pay. Mm-hmm. And when you're a California team, that's what it's all about.
Right.
So, I don't think Gruden means as much to players as we like to think. I mean, I think that some of them, think he's a good coach and buy into the legend and the mystique of Gruden.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that at the end of the day, it's more about what's the cash look like, and especially what does the cash look like if I can get to Vegas where I don't have to pay taxes on it. So, and I know that the Vegas word is probably a dirty word in the Bay Area right now, but that's the reality. I think that Gruden is he's the big bad wolf. He's the guy come in to basically knock everybody, all the veterans around, and say, look, we got to play at this level and we have to amp up what we're doing, which is exactly what he did in Tampa. And to a certain extent, it's what he did in Oakland until he and Al got sideways. And they got sideways, famously during that Baltimore playoff game when they lost at home to the Ravens. That's when all hell broke loose.
John Gruden, people have to remember too, and you just kind of touched on this. Players in the NFL right now, when John Gruden was a coach, these guys were in middle school or younger.
Yeah.
The Gruden that they know,
some of them, yeah.
But I would say that a lot of these players, especially the younger players coming up, they know Gruden as a broadcaster. So I think you hit the nail on the head. They're not coming here because of the head coach necessarily. Yeah, there's a big tie in there. There's definitely that mystique there. There's that aura about him. But it's 2018 and it's the NFL. It's all about the cash.
Right.
Right.
Right. I mean, look, I think this is a good move from a business standpoint because you're going to sell a lot of PSLs like that. Here's where the Raiders are at. The Raiders have a big chunk of money that they got to raise in Vegas, right? And again, I know nobody in Oakland wants to hear about that part, right? But this is a business move. This is a move done to get the people in Vegas excited to buy all those PSLs and spend all that money and pony up the cash. And in the meantime, make the people in Oakland happy and take advantage of what you have. So it's trying to win. I mean, there's a dual purpose. There's trying to win and there's trying to sell tickets, which is why you pay Gruden so much money. And for such a long period of time. And so to me, look, I'm not worried about free agency. Like, they've got a good team. Okay. They underperformed drastically this year, particularly on offense. Okay. And they've got to get a whole lot better on defense. But to me, their defensive issues are the growth of their players and drafting better. I don't think that, it doesn't come down to, guy get 3 free agents. I don't think they're that far away. I think that they're much closer than people think, but they've just got to play with a little bit of edge. I always thought the problem with this team last year is they were a reflection of Jack. And Jack, as soon as he got that 4-year extension, he exhaled and took it easy. And that is, look, if you look at the history of Jack Del Rio coach teams, they are a reflection of his state of mind. And that's not that's not really consistent. Sometimes he's very much still a player, and he's up and down and moody. And to me, the Gruden teams, when they've been at their best, play like they've been shot out of a cannon most of the time. And the only time that's changed is when the team got bad, which has happened pretty quickly in Tampa.
Oh, just to kind of put a bow on this right now, because you're throwing a lot of thoughts out there, and I can't really disagree with you. This is both a PR move. This is also a winning move. It's a very strategical move on a lot of different points. Can you give us one positive and one negative of the Gruden hiring as it stands right now?
Well, I think the positive is I think he knows how to drive a team right away. I think he knows how to come into an environment and inject a tremendous amount of energy, okay, which is going to be important for that first couple of years. This team has to really take advantage of what they have right now and, put the foot on the gas, okay? So I think he's going to be extraordinarily motivated here, and he's going to coach them really hard here for the next couple of years at least, all right? The question becomes long-term to me, because I saw this with Jimmy Johnson in Miami. Look, when you've lived that life of a broadcaster, that's a good life. It's a really good life.
Right.
You make a lot of money to just talk about football. You don't have to make any decisions. You don't have to feel the pressure. You don't have to get into a player's face. You don't have to get up at 4:00 in the morning to break down tape. You don't, your life is good. You sleep in your own bed, right? There's not the pressure. There's not the second guessing. There's not the media. There's not Twitter. There's not, the latest stupid thing that one of your players did, right? Mm-hmm. It's nice. So to me, if he knows he can always go back and make, $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year broadcasting, okay, $10 million is a lot better than that. But you can live on, $3 or $4 million a year broadcasting and sleeping in your own bed. So the question is, after 2 or 3 years, is he still going to have that incentive? And again, I watched Jimmy Johnson go through it. He didn't want to do it anymore. I've seen Bill Cowher admit it, okay? He's admitting it openly, saying, my life is good. Why do I want to go back to that crap? Right? So the question for Gruden, the negative is, after a couple of years, he's going to want to do it. And the question I would ask is, I know he talks about the edge to want to do it and, being around the guys and being in the locker room and competing and all that stuff. And he talks a good game about it, right? And maybe it's real, but right now it's just words. But I always ask the question, if you really had that itch, if you really had that desire, if you really, really wanted to do this so bad, why didn't you do it before? You had offers. Mark Davis was trying to get you before. Mm-hmm. Why didn't you do it then? I mean, I guess you didn't want it bad enough, or all of a sudden you wanted it bad enough when the money got to $10 million a year and $100 million for 10 years. Like you wanted it bad enough then. And I just don't think you can buy long-term passion. Again, I think this team, if this is the typical John Gruden that we've seen in the past, he's going to be extremely motivated for probably 2 years minimum. And then we'll see where he is after that point.
And that seemed to be his I was getting that from the press conference. He kind of kept dodging the 10-year thing a lot.
He was.
He like you said, I'm not guaranteed to be alive for 10 years. I could be out of here in 2 years. He said that a few times, said that in the post interviews. So yeah, the contract's 10 years. How many years is Gruden really thinking? I mean, he's going to take a year to year. He's going to say all the right things in front of the camera. But don't get it twisted, Raider Nation.
But wait a sec. Wait a sec. I mean, stop yourself for a second there. Mm-hmm. wait a sec, this guy's on the first day that he takes this job, he's walking back a 10-year commitment. What does that tell you?
Exactly.
I mean, that tells me your head, wait a sec, you're not as into this as you would like us all to believe. And so I call BS. And let's just say this. It's probably a good thing for people to call BS on Gruden, because the more you call BS on Gruden, the more it's going to motivate him to want to, kick butt.
Yeah.
So if I was a Raiders fan, I would have a collective, yeah, John, do you really want to be here thing? Or how much? I would keep questioning him, because it would light a fire under his rear. Okay, and that's a good thing. Okay, because you want a motivated Gruden. But I'm just going to say, if on the very first day that you are talking, you're saying, well, who knows what's going to happen? I could be out of here in 2 years. Well, where's your head at? Where's your commitment? If a player said that, if Derek Carr had said, I just signed a 10-year contract, but I don't know, I might only play 2, what would the reaction be?
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one that picked up on that, Jason. Water is clear, Kool-Aid gets very murky.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
And the more sugar you add to it, the murkier it gets. Now,
right, and this is, but look, at the end of the day, because everybody, because I get on Twitter, why are you ragging on Smith? Because I've made also the point that there have been 10 coaches who have won a Super Bowl at one team and then come back to another team, a second team, okay, to try and win it with 2 different teams. Mm-hmm. None of those 10 ever succeeded. Okay, They've all failed. And Parcells, Holmgren, Vince Lombardi, McCafferty, it's Mike Shanahan. It's a long list, right? Hank Stram.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys on there. So it's really, what he's trying to do is really, really hard. That said, look, you tell me I can have John Gruden as my coach with a team that has the kind of talent that the Raiders have. Yeah, I'll take my chances. I'll ride that one out. I'll see what I can do. But that doesn't mean that I'm not sitting there going, I'm not sure, if this is perfect. Well, You don't get perfect in the NFL.
You don't. And I've been kind of getting called out a lot on my own blog that I'm being too critical. Hey, man, come on, jump on the bandwagon. Why aren't you excited? Hey, I'm excited. And this guy walks in the door. It's exciting. He's got a magnetic personality, maybe the most charismatic man in football. Raider legend. He's an icon. Let's just face it. He's an NFL icon at this point. He transcends Raider Nation. But all these caveats come with it.
Yeah.
You got to be critical. I'm a fan. I'm open. I'm a fan. This is not an objective news forum right here. Right? This is a Raider fan podcast. But I get tired of just getting my hopes up every offseason only to get shot back down. When things seem too good to be true in the NFL for us, they often are. And so I'm in wait and see mode right now. Yes, I'm excited. Yes, I feel good about it. Gruden's a smart guy. He's going to come with fire and passion and energy. I don't believe he can't connect to the modern athlete. I think that even at this day, if you've made it to the NFL, you've had a coach at somewhere along your journey that's gotten in your face, that's ripped you a new one. That Gruden type mentality. Gruden's not the first coach to ever have that mentality in pro sports. Mm-hmm. That is a very common theme from the high school level all the way on up. So I don't think there's anything brand new there. I think the social media thing's brand new for sure. The reality show thing, the athlete as a celebrity is brand new, but he's dealt with that before. He's dealt with it at Keyshawn Johnson. You put a microphone in front of his face. They didn't have Twitter back then, but he was saying things like they say on Twitter,
right,
on TV.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's not brand new to him, but I think everything that Jason points out, to be critical of John is doing John a favor. It's doing yourself a favor, and it's just the realistic thing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
The problem is not John Gruden's ability to coach people. The problem, at least in my view, he didn't forget anything about football. Okay, and there's nothing that's happened in the last 9 years that he doesn't understand. Right, and he's been studying, so he knows. Okay, the game hasn't passed him by. The ability to talk to athletes has not passed him by. He's fine that way. No, he's as good as you're going to find with anybody else, right? Mm-hmm. The question is always this, and again, how bad do you really want to do this? Now, Dick Vermeil came back after a long time away from the game, rejuvenated, and did it, and was successful. All right. But like I said, Dick Vermeil did not spend most of that time making millions of dollars to talk about football. All right. Mm-hmm. John Gruden just spent 9 years as the star of Monday Night Football talking about football.
Yeah.
And knows in his heart of hearts he can go back and have a job like that anytime he wants. Any one of the networks will hire Gruden right away.
So all of that aside, what are your thoughts on some of these coordinators he's hired so far? I mean, we got Gunther, we got Bisaccia in there. You got Greg Olson returning to the fold. You got a few other position coaches coming into the fold now. Just the main three, pick one out of the three, pick all three. But what are the standouts here? How do you feel about it? Is he assembling a good cast in your opinion?
Well, Olson knows him, and Olson knows the West Coast offense, and Olson knows how to deal with him. So, like, to me, Olson's a good fit, but he's not the play caller. I mean, we all know that Gruden's going to be the play caller. So Olson's just the caddy.
Sort of
and that's fine.
Sort of maybe a glorified QB coach at this point, without a QB coach on the roster right now.
Pretty much. That's exactly what you're talking about. Then you get to Gunther. Like, lots of people like Gunther. I think that if Marvin Lewis had not come back, Gunther probably would have had a strong chance to be the head coach with the Bengals. So you're talking about an up-and-comer, so a guy he really likes. Bisaccia, quality special teams coach. You know, you're not gonna do a whole lot better than Rich Bisaccia. So he brought in the guys that he wanted. He identified them right away and brought them all in. So look, the best thing that happened, the best thing in this whole process was this got done really quickly. And I know that there are a lot of people, like the Fritz Pollard Association, the NFL, questioning whether they followed protocol properly. Look, they weren't going to fire Del Rio unless they could get Gruden. All right, that was never ever going to happen. All right, so this was set up, and did they go through a farce of an interview to fulfill the Rooney Rule? Yes. Is that okay? Basically, if you know who you're going to hire, like if you're going to bring in a guy like Gruden, that does make all the other interviews a farce. Mm-hmm. All of that said, set that aside, okay, for a second, because we can get in a long debate to nowhere. The most important thing you do in hiring a coach first is that gives that guy that you hire the first opportunity to pick from the guys that he wants among assistant coaches. Because the hardest thing that coaches have to do is putting together a good staff of assistants, because good assistants get gobbled up really quickly. So the teams that end up hiring their staffs, hiring their head coach last, unless they've got a set of guys who are already preset to come with them, it's really hard for those coaches to fill out their staffs and say, okay, here's all the guys that I really want to have as my assistant coaches, my coordinators, my my key guys here and there. That's a hard thing to do. So the fortunate part for both Gruden and for the Raiders is this happened quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lightning fast, it seemed like. You have any questions, Jay?
Yeah, actually, since you brought up the point of the Rooney Rule, what are your thoughts on the people saying that we didn't actually follow the Rooney Rule, and what are your thoughts on?
Well, they did. They interviewed a minority coach, right?
Right.
Was that person ever a serious candidate? No. Okay. I mean, that's just true. Okay. That person was not a serious candidate.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Look, again, you made the move on Del Rio only because Gruden finally said yes. Mm-hmm. All right. That was the only reason we were going to do it. And I understand that from Mark Davis, both from a business perspective and from an on-field perspective, why he would go ahead and do this. He fulfilled the rule, which is in some ways, again, it's a farce, yes, but it does actually put somebody in front of the owner so that, okay, let's say this whole thing, let's just play out the worst case scenario. Let's just say that John Gruden gets to, in this February, shows up in Indianapolis and goes, oh God, I forgot, this sucks. I don't want to do this. right?
Right.
Well, at least you interviewed somebody, at least you interviewed somebody else who you said, okay, maybe I like that guy or I don't. And that's okay. Or say 4 years from now or 5 years from now, Gruden doesn't take the job. You interviewed a guy. This is why I'm a big proponent of NFL teams. And it's not just the Rooney Rule, okay? But the Rooney Rule plays into this idea, which is when you have a head coach opening, right? Even if you know exactly who you want to hire, it should be your duty and to interview 4 or 5 or 6 candidates. And I would select them all over. I'd bring in guys who were in their late 20s, early 30s. I would bring in guys who were in their 50s. I would bring in, I would want to meet with people because I want to get to know them and I want to hear their ideas. I want to hear if this person's actually a really good candidate. Because, again, I may not be hiring for just that year. I may be hiring for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, and keep track of people and say, okay, I like that guy or I didn't like that guy, or at least we had a connection. So that's good hiring practices. And the person who was one of the best at doing that was Al Davis.
Yeah.
Like Al brought in tons of people to interview, right?
He also hired a ton.
He would sit, right? He would. I mean, he didn't always hire the best people at the end of his career. We all know that. But his hiring practices, from a practical standpoint, were very smart because you want to go get ideas.
Right.
You want to go find new people. So to me, you're right. Was there satisfaction of the Rooney Rule a farce? Absolutely. Is that okay? Yes, because they weren't going to do this with Gruden. And still satisfying the rule, did something for that candidate, got that candidate out there and got to meet with Mark Davis and the brass, so that if the whole thing with Gruden goes wrong, maybe they like something in that interview and they come back to that guy the next time.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks for jumping on board with us again tonight, Jason. We really appreciate you coming on here. And for those of you that don't know, Jason's on the East Coast, so it's it's almost midnight your time, correct?
Yep, almost midnight, but that's cool. So I like to stay up late. So anyways, guys, I got to roll here, but I appreciate it. Anytime.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
No problem. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, it was cool, man. Jason's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Definitely some insight there. Different side of the coin, if you will.
A different take, which is good, man. Like you said, we can't be sipping on the Kool-Aid all day long. Although Kool-Aid is delicious. You can't be sipping on the Kool-Aid all day long, man.
Hey, Kool-Aid is good. You must at least minimally double the sugar serving on the back.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you don't really have to say anything you don't have to explain that to people, man.
No.
If you know what Kool-Aid is and you drink Kool-Aid, you're already hip to the game. You don't need to be explained.
No, I need to explain that. No, I need to explain this right now. Whatever it is, to be honest, I haven't made Kool-Aid for myself in a long time. You got to at least double, if not, if you're feeling daring, quadruple that sugar serving on the back. I don't know if they updated the package. The reason why I say this is my mom got the job done right.
There you go.
We made sweet tea. We made Kool-Aid. Those are staples in our fridge. I go to friends' houses, but what is this watered down bullshit?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So yes,
I've been there too.
I need to explain it. There are Kool-Aid deficient people out there.
Yeah, I was raised on sweet tea. Actually, I was raised on sweet tea because I was raised by my grandma for the most part.
Yeah,
and she always had some tea up in the fridge, man. We lived off of tea, so sweet tea. And I was a sugar freak, still kind of am. I have a condition of,
I see much in the Skittles, man. Over there. I see you,
man. Sweets. But I was that crazy kid that would take the sweet tea and then add sugar to the already sweetened tea. Yeah, I had a problem, man.
Wow.
I'm in recovery right now.
You all right? Shaking over there, bro.
Got a little itch. I got a scratch. But yeah, no. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, man. Sip on it. You can sip a little bit of it, but don't forget you need some water, man.
I got the Kool-Aid man sitting right over there.
Yeah.
Up here in the studio, I got this little Kool-Aid man. I put out an album back in like 2005 called "Don't Drink the Kool-Aid."
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
And that's about something else. But
maybe that should be the intro song to this episode.
Possibly, dude. Possibly. So anyways, man, that was tremendous. It was a long first segment, so we're going to get out of here. We're going to take a break. We're going to listen to your calls. We'll come back. We'll respond to it. We'll get Kane on here. We'll do our shout-outs, some other stuff, and maybe talk a little bit about changes to the show coming in the postseason, some things that we want to work on. Or maybe we won't talk about that. Right. Tune in after the break and find out. Thank you very much. Pillaging Podcast. See you on the other side. We out, champ.
Peace.
Yo, Kenny and Chase. This is David at Melody 253. Just wanted to thank you guys, man. Let you guys know I appreciate everything you guys do on the podcast, man. I always listen to it. I love it, man. You guys know that. Man, I'm really happy, excited about the John Gruden deal. I know some people are, some people ain't, man, but I see this benefiting the team a whole lot, man. I see Gruden using the offense, man, using it to the strength of our players. I just got a lot of respect for the guy, man. He's been out of football for a while, but he hasn't been out of football. I mean, he's just been seeing it from a different perspective, man. And I think that actually brings a little more heat to his game, to be honest, because he's seen it from the sidelines and he's seen it from the booth. He's been all around, man. He knows everything about everything. You know, it's like riding a bike, man. You never forget. You jump back on it and you're riding, man. So I feel he's going to come into next season. He's going to be ready, man. The guy's prepared. Mentally, he's prepared, man. He knows what's up. He's already talking about new plays for Derek Carr. He's already talking about the fullback. You know what I mean? I don't even think we used Jameis Olawale last year. Maybe a couple times. We might have used the fullback lead. Bill Musgrave used the fullback position. Jameis Olawale was getting his money when Bill Musgrave was there, man. So, and then another thing, I think Gruden is he's gonna use Khalil Mack at defensive end and linebacker, man. Dude is all pro at both positions. Why not use him? He's going to have him all over the field, man. This dude sees talent. He sees talent, man. He wraps it up, man. I feel very confident. I'm happy with Mark Davis making this decision. I kind of questioned him the last year, questioned his love for the team. If he's been dishing out enough money or what he's been doing, or, eating peanuts up in the booth, popcorn, whatever. But he made that move, man. He made that move. That upped my respect for the dude a lot, man. I appreciate everything he's done. And I'm glad to have Gruden back on the team, man. I think Derek Carr is going to play a lot better. We all should be happy that we have an experienced coach coming to us, man. And this dude is bringing in good coaches right now. Greg Olsen, don't trip on him. He's not going to play that much of a part in the offense or nothing. Gruden's not going to let nobody come here and run the offense. And if he does, and if they start messing up, he's going to check them real quick, man. You already know Gruden's style. Anyways, man, daughter's Layla's birthday today. Had a blast. If you guys can, man, wish her a happy birthday. It'll be much appreciated. Anyways, man, much love and respect to you guys, man. Can't wait to listen to the next podcast. Go Raiders.
Hey, fellow pillagers. JP from the OC. Maybe I should put a Raider in front of Raider JP from the OC so I can be Raider JP. Anyways, thanks for the show. Cool show. Glad we signed Gruden. Now we move on to the nitty gritty. I know there's some bull crap about the NFL investigating them for not doing something properly with the Rooney Rule or something to that effect. I'm not going to believe that until I see, the results. And your questions for Mr. Cole that I would have is free agency's coming up soon. So is there any players out there that can make a big splash with us, or maybe no-name players that might become free agents that would be a huge impact to Gruden's system. All right, and also the draft. What can we take at possibly 9 or 10th if the Niners beat us with the coin flip? All right, so once again, thanks for the show. Stay safe and keep on pillaging. Go Raiders.
What it is, pillagers, it's the mighty, mighty Plunk. So, Gruden. At first, I was not necessarily lukewarm. I was glad we got him, but I was unsure. Now I'm really warming up to the idea. And no matter what, after the stink of last season, that this offseason will be nothing if not very interesting and entertaining. And I, frankly, can't wait. Go Raiders.
Guys, it's Raider Rockstar here. Hey, I was just calling in to talk about special teams. Nobody seems to want to talk about it. I just curious to see what you guys think about Marquette King and if John Gruden will put up with his antics. Also, a good debate about Sebastian Janikowski, Gruden's old stalwart, versus Tavecchio, who will win out there, or does he start over a kicker? And of course, BSJ, his favorite player on the roster, Kondo. Is he a keeper or is he a goner? So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Obviously, Gruden made special teams a priority by going to get the big dog from Dallas that he had history with from Tampa. So anyway, all good things. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Good evening, Kenny, from a foggy London. I am ecstatic with the John Gruden appointment. The other night I watched the press conference live. I was almost crying. God, I've got some love for that guy, Gruden. Anyhow, that aside, the Raiders are coming back to London. That'll be good. I'm sorry that we're taking a home game away from the Raiders in Oakland. That sucks, but Mark Davies, he doesn't really care. But I shall be there. If anybody wants to meet, you can stand next to me and I will bore you with details. That's so-and-so. All right then. Have a lovely evening. Lovely day. Must be midday over there, isn't it? Okay. Toodle pip. You're doing a good job. Bye.
Kenny, 303 Raider. Wow, Chucky is back. Official. What an exciting press conference. I mean, I'm 46. When Gruden was here, I was in my 20s, late 20s, and that was really the only time that I can truly remember when we just had a stable franchise. And I was really pissed off at Al Davis when he traded him. So excited to get back. And I think the one thing that stands out for me that I heard John say over and over again is that he has a lot to prove. And that to me just shows his competitiveness. And I think that's what we need from our head coach, from the person that's installing the culture, is that he wants to win every single play. And now we know going into every single game, we have a coach that's going to prepare our team, that's going to demand accountability, and that's going to come up with a game plan where we can out-coach and outsmart the other sideline. I mean, how many times would we go into a game and you knew right away that unless our players were going to overperform, Jack was going to get out-coached, whether it was Kansas City, New England. I mean, you can go down the line of the games where we just knew that Jack wasn't the smartest guy on the sideline. Well, that's not the case anymore. And that, as much as our quarterback, that relationship between him and Carr gives us the greatest chance to be successful. So, I'm pumped. I'm excited. This was the best hire for this team right now, with the 2 years left in Oakland and the transition that we're about to make into Las Vegas, in a 10-year contract. Wow. I mean, talk about stability right then and there. You know that every player is going to answer to John, and there's no messing around. And it'll be really interesting to see how the relationship with Reggie unfolds. So, interesting offseason to say the least. 9 months is a long time, but it's definitely going to be fun with the draft, the combine, and free agency coming up. So anyways, 303 is pumped. I'm out. Go Raiders.
And we're back. We're back. We're doing a little sing along over here, a little Michael McDonald in the break.
Michael Mack.
I can't believe we're not in love anymore. Can't believe
Things will never be the same again.
Love me some Michael McDonald.
Oh, yeah, man. Feels so good.
Yeah, we're taking it to the streets this week on the Pillaging podcast. Anyways, we're going to get Raider Kane on here right now. We're flipping the script this week. We might be having Kane on in the second segment going forward, scheduling and whatnot, but he will remain a fixture on this podcast. And a reminder, he is co-producer of this episode.
Oh, yeah.
He's landing the big fish, man. Kane's out there.
Tell you what, man.
It all goes down in the DMs. I tell you what, man.
Can't be sliding in the DMs, man.
So let's get this dude on the air here. Let's see what's up.
Let's do it.
All right, so we got Raider Kane on here. This is Kane's Corner, brought to you every week by NFLShop.com. Make sure you go to PJ4F.com and click on the NFL Shop banner. Everything that you spend over there, we get a little piece of that to keep our pirate ship on the water, keep it floating, keep that Jolly Roger sailing high.
At least get us some patches, man.
Right? We need more eye patches on this shit.
At least get some patches, man.
Yeah, if this Gruden thing doesn't go right, I might need 2 patches. Kane, man, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right, bro. I'm doing all right.
So the last time we talked, we were all, somewhat critical. We had one eye open, one eye closed, as we just kind of alluded to about this Gruden thing. I feel a little bit better after this press conference. I'm still right where I was. I'm still right in the middle. I'm still wait and see mode. I've already said that enough. I'm not drinking all the Kool-Aid just yet. I'm going to keep some in the fridge. But where are you at? Did you warm up to this a little bit after seeing him on TV, hearing him on 95.7 The Game? Have you shifted your stance at all, slightly? Do you remain firmly planted where you were last week?
Well, I want to kind of liken this to a movie trailer. Watching the trailer, it looks good. We'll see when the movie come out in September. Right. I mean, that's all I can really say right now. He's talking a good talk, and I'm sure he's going to walk that talk. But we got to see what the product is like when it gets on the field. What the roster looks like, what the play calling sequences and everything. I'm not going to just jump right on just because it's John Gruden and he was the biggest name out there that was available. In some people's opinion, I'm not going to just jump on. Like I said, yeah, it's a good trailer. When the movie come out, we'll see whether it's a good movie.
It's a damn good analogy.
Yeah, real good, man. I like that. I like that take.
So Cole, I sent your question off to Cole, and you had a pretty good response to it. You had asked if this is a win now coach, or is he going to rebuild the roster? And he seemed to think that John Gruden, is John Gruden kind of stated in his press conference, he's a very short-term goal-minded coach, and that he's in win-now process immediately. He's going to bolt on some parts to this roster. We're going to make some free agency moves. We'll re-sign. We'll cut. We're going to do our draft. But the mentality right now is win and win fast. Whether or not we can do that remains to be seen. We got 2 years left in Oakland minimum. It might stretch to 3. I know you, as well as the rest of our fan base, would love nothing more than the Raiders to bring a chip home to Oakland before we leave, at the very least. So do you agree with Cole? What do you see Gruden doing? Do you see him taking the time and the patience to rebuild this, or do you think he's going to go for the jugular right off the bat?
That's a good question, and I would think for $10 million a year that you would be on win now mode. So that was the reason why I wanted to ask Jason that question, and so I would think he would be in win now mode. So I'm assuming that he's trying to get a Super Bowl before 2020.
Yeah, he kind of alluded to that was sort of Gruden's problem in Tampa, is that he never was willing to take the time to rebuild that roster after the Super Bowl win, that he kind of just kept going after it, kind of kept bringing in veteran free agents and throwing money at the situation rather than taking the time to deconstruct and rebuild from the bottom up. And, I could see that. Obviously, they were strapped for picks because of the deal they made to bring in Gruden, and the Glazers You know, they worked with John as much as they could, the GM over there. They brought in Bruce Allen, as you know, when Bruce Allen was here. Not necessarily a draft guru, but both him and John were free agency maniacs. And that culture kind of carried over on into Tampa. So what do you see? Do you have any free agents on your short list right now? Are there players on this roster? In fact, let me put it to you like this. So we had a couple callers call in with questions, and I wasn't able to get all their questions off to Cole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you. 303 called in, and he wanted to know about the players on this roster. Does Khalil Mack get his extension this offseason? And if he does, what do you think that looks like?
That's a good question, because if we in win now mode and Khalil Mack has got that option year, I don't know. I would think that they would probably go after another, at least maybe because the key to leave is available, is going to be available or supposedly, and John drafted him. So, and we're in need of veteran leadership in the defensive backfield. So maybe John may go after some free agents, and we might have to wait on Khalil, and then it maybe end up where it's a franchise, where we end up having a franchise tagging the next year and work out. That's I think it's coming down the pipe, but we'll see.
And it'll be interesting to see how Mac responds to that if that's the way that it goes. He seems to be a team player, but you got to think that for the amount of work that this guy's been putting in, he's one of the dudes on this team that does not quit. What his reaction will be if he does not get the extension this offseason. There's a lot of boulders up in the air. And right now, Gruden is the Jedi Master. He's going to have to keep those boulders levitating.
Yep.
So, hopefully he gets his deal done in the offseason, but if not, as you said, there's different options that they can take. There's different routes they can take, and eventually he's going to get his money. Another question 303 had, and I actually really like this question, and you're a good person to answer this. Out of the three players that were drafted by Renj McKenzie, who gets extended? Justin Ellis, Danico Autry, or TJ Carey?
I can only pick one?
Yeah, you can only pick one.
I'm going to say, you said, give me those three names again.
Jelly, Autry, Carey.
Ooh, too bad I can only pick one. If I had to only pick one, I would say Autry.
If I gave you a second, who would you pick?
Jelly.
You would pick Jelly. So you would fortify that defensive line, let Carey walk, and roll the dice in free agency. Maybe we pick up Minka in the draft, right?
Maybe. Or maybe we draft Denzel Ward in the first round with the 10th pick.
Ooh.
And we won't need Carey then.
Yeah.
Carey is a bubble. In my opinion, Carey he's a serviceable cornerback. We can find better in free agency or in the draft. We can get better. We can get better at that position. And he's one of the expendable ones. And speaking of that, while we talking about DB, Amerson might not even be back. That's Captain Concussion. So you never know what, you know what I mean? His career might be over.
It's true, man.
Captain Thunderhead. Yeah. And there might be some folks disappointed in that answer about Carey, because it depends on who you talk to, how they feel about TJ Carey. But you're absolutely right, Kane. He's a solid player. And the thing is once you've reached this point in your career and you hit free agency, just about every NFL player is going to get more money than they deserve in free agency. And TJ's probably going to be that guy. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to get paid. He did well for us this season. I mean, he stepped in a very thin corner position, and he was serviceable. But we have a chance to get younger. If we're going to retain Smith, and Conley comes back, and let's say Conley lives up to the hype. Let's just say he does. Let's drink a little bit of that Kool-Aid.
Okay.
And, then you got a chance to maybe draft a young stud and really fortify that group. You have one veteran now in Smith, and then you would have basically two rookies, Conley and then another guy if we were to draft that. And then you got a really young, solid, exciting, fast cornerback staff held down by the stalwart. So that can play out to be a really good situation. So if TJ Carey does walk this offseason, if we do let him go, not all hope is lost.
Right.
But you got to remember that the defensive line has underperformed. I think Justin, the thing is, the way that we play defenses this season, the interior pass rush, it didn't seem like that's what we wanted to do. It seemed like under K&J, it was mostly let those guys absorb double teams and let the ends get after it. When Pagano got in there, he started using the twists and the stunts when your tackles are coming around the end, your ends are coming around the middle, and now you're seeing a little bit more activity. Danico Autry, I really hope we can keep that guy. The way he gets his hands up, the way he can disrupt the passer without even tackling the passer. He's got a lot of intangibles, a lot of extras that he does in the game there that really fortifies his value, I think, on this line. I think Danico Autry, I think the greatness of him is in his future, to borrow the cliche. But I really like Danico Autry. That guy's a super high motor, very intelligent defensive pass rusher. And I would like to see him return as well. What about you, Che? Let's put the question to you.
I think so too, man. I think Autry deserves it. He came out strong at the end of the season, man. And I think he improved every single game. And that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see. You want to see people progressing, and you want to see them, taking those steps every single season. Every single season, every single game. So I would go with Autry too. I do, have my questions about Carey, just because Carey, he's the one quarterback that looked decent for us, right?
Yeah.
So there is some concern if Carey walks, what we have left. We still have yet to see what Conley does bring to the table. One game, it isn't much to go off of. And who knows what he looks like when he comes back from the injury. Again, but like you said, if we get somebody in the draft, who knows that we can replace him. And like Kane said, he is a bit of a serviceable guy, right? Not necessarily the stud or the star. So we can always improve.
But he's probably going to get paid something close to the stud.
Probably,
right?
Probably, and that's where the danger comes in.
And exactly, and see, that's my point that I was trying to make. That position, that number 3, number 4 cornerback, doesn't call for a high-paid guy.
No.
So we can always let Carey, and I'm like 90%. He's going to walk. We're going to let him walk because we don't have the money to pay him. McDonald played good enough to take over to take that number 3 or number 4 cornerback spot. So you see what I'm saying? That spot is for a young guy that you're trying to develop or to maybe, step in for the starters if they get injured or play a nickel or dime. And that's all. And Carey's you're not gonna pay Carey a lot of money to do that.
No.
You're not gonna do that. So another team will pay him to start or to be a second corner. And so he's expendable.
And that's the art of free agency, right? Is don't be the team left holding the bag. Don't be the team that overpays for a player. That's the real art of free agency. And if everything plays out the way it should with our young corners and a potential incoming young corner on this team, then we can let Carey walk and not feel the hit. So it's a bit of a gamble there, but in the long run, you don't want to be left holding the bag, especially when you got a contract like Khalil Mack's on the table. You got other contracts coming to fruition in the next 2 to 3 years, and you got a whole other crop of free agents that are set to walk through this door.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would rather see the defensive. I'd rather see Autry as a better player, and I'd rather see him get a contract extension. Yeah, and even Jelly is not that bad. This coaching staff that we just had, they weren't the best coaching staff as far as developing players, and we didn't get the best out. We saw it because when Pagano came in, like you just alluded to, we had a whole different way we were playing on the defense. Well, not a whole different way, but he changed some things and made it to the players' strengths. And we've been for the last 2.5 years done that on defense. So you don't know what these young guys can really do with some good coaching.
Yeah.
You don't know if Paul Gunther can make Ward the Ward he was supposed to be. What about we got a lot of young players on defense, man, that hasn't gotten developed properly.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what this guy can do with that's why I wanted Jason Cole to answer my question, because we don't need to tear this roster down. We have a young defense. They've been drafting defense a lot more than offense. We have a young defense, a young nucleus. These guys need coaching. That's what they need. So I want to see what's going to happen to these, and Mario Edwards and Jahal Ward, what's his name, Vanderdoes, Autry, we got a lot of young players. What's the one guy? Not Shelby Harris. I can't think his name right now. Another defensive tackle. My point I'm trying to make is that we got a lot of young players that need coaching.
Darius Latham. Are you looking for Darius Latham?
Darius Latham. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
when we start talking about players that's these 45-year veterans, this Terry and guys that's been around, when you start talking about contracts and this and that, you got a lot of young players on the defense that deserve a chance. That deserve to be developed and a chance to be playing on the field. So yeah, we got to let Terry walk. We got to bring up some of these other guys. McDonald, again, I'll say again, McDonald did not look bad. Now he's not a starter. We know that, and Terry isn't either.
Yeah.
But they came in and they were serviceable.
Mm-hmm.
So, and really, that's all you want from your number 4 corner.
Right.
You just want to, you never hope you have to start them, and then you just hope that they're serviceable when they get in the game. And that's what McDonald was.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to live and die by your 4th cornerback, then you're doing it wrong, right? And this staff with this roster was miscoached. It was mismanaged this whole last season. So I agree. Some of these players flashed at times and they stunk it up at times. But when you look at the coaching staff and their inability to really get anything done, it's safe to say there is some unlocked potential on this roster.
Right.
So hopefully Paul Gunther can come in here and coach them up, because he's done a lot with a little down that Bengals defense. There's not a lot of star caliber players over there. They got players, but I feel pretty good with the right coaches in place and the right system in place and the right sort of discipline and attention to detail that we're going to squeeze a lot more out of these rocks. We're going to squeeze a lot of blood out of this colt.
And that being said, he's also going to be able to decide who's going to actually be able to make that turn and who's not, right? If he's been able to pull a lot from a little in his past job with the Bengals, right? Getting those guys to play to a higher level than maybe most people would expect them to play.
Right.
Then he's going to be able to pinpoint, okay, this guy's somebody that I can work with. This guy has something. This guy gots to go, right? And then that's where we make that improvement.
Absolutely. So, man, how's 2018 treating you so far, Kane?
It's okay, man. It's all right. I can't complain. Just a day-to-day grind, man. Just work and trying to just make a living, man. That's about it. Nothing special,
Yep.
Or that.
Then it's really nothing, man. I'm excited that we play Miami in Miami again next year. I mean, Raider Nation on South Beach wasn't too bad, so
yeah,
might have to hit that up. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's a good away game to go to. It's got some perks that come with it for sure.
Right.
If I had to go see Kansas City and my boy Gent didn't live out there, I just wouldn't be a good time. But
right.
to be out there with family is cool.
Yeah.
But if I had to weigh KC versus Miami, friends and family aside, Miami wins hands down.
You're probably gonna figure out a way to have a good time even if there's no family around, bro.
Right, exactly. I'm eyeballing some away games next year too. I'm looking at Arizona. I got a friend down there. I'll give you an early shout out to Phoenix Raider, to my boy John down there. He's come on the blog. I never met him in person, but we're real tight.
Right.
And so he said he put me up. I'll go down there and see a game in Arizona. I've heard they got a nice stadium. I would like to return to KC next year. I'd like to make that an annual trip out there, since I do have a good friend out there. And it's the rivalry, the stadium, Arrowhead. It just feels cool being out there as a Raider fan. Like, even though we don't belong there, we belong there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then we got 303. We got 303 Raider out there in Denver, and that looks like for the PJ4F bloggers, for everyone that comes on there, that might be a mass exodus out to the Denver game next year. We might group up and go out there. So, Che, we need to get you on one of these trips, man.
That'd be dope, man. I really want to make some of the road games too. Of course, my hands are a little bit tied. A little bit tighter than most people, but definitely, if I have a shot, I'll take that, man. I'll take that. Let's do the UK. That's what.
we got London now. You heard him during the caller segment. He's out there in London. These away games, they piss me off, but London now. I'm actually hearing your call. It makes me feel a little bit better about this game. Because if there's one of you out there, I know there's several thousand of you out there. And you guys you deserve to see the Raider Nation too.
Rick too. Rick is in. Oh no, Rick is in Canada. Huh?
Yeah, he's
I'm
in
thinking
Canada.
Okay,
He's on another planet. Rick's on Mars, bro.
Hey, just a heads up though to those of you who do have the ability and are planning to go to London for the Raider game. I don't know how many of you are planning that. I just had a buddy that was out there. He went out there. He was trying to do the sightseeing thing. And he posted a video. It was hilarious. He was extra pissed because he went to go see Big Ben, and it's under construction for the next 10 years. So don't do that, yo. Okay, don't go there, yo. Don't go there, man. You'll be really disappointed, man.
Damn, you got one monument. Nah, they got more than one. But
hey, there's another travel destination that it's they got that organization called Raider Nation Invasion.
Oh wow!
And that was who went to we went to New Orleans with them, and then this year we went to Miami. And next year they going to Baltimore, or this year 18 they going to Baltimore.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So I wanted to let everybody, all the listeners, know that's where we gonna be at. I'll be there. And the Raider Nation Invasion, they come deep, man. It's deep, like 4,000 or 5,000 people deep. Yeah, it was pretty big. I got some pictures from the tailgate in Miami. And my boy Lil King, he was there. You can ask him. He went to the tailgate. And also, brother Jackson 34, shout out, he was at that tailgate too. And it was easily at least 3,000 people there.
Damn.
Yeah, it was packed with Raider fans. They had music, they had DJ, they was giving away prizes. I mean, it was off the hook, So they going to Baltimore this upcoming season, and I'm looking forward to it. And I hope to see some of the listeners and some of the bloggers out there too.
Yeah, we out here, as they say, we out here. It's Raider Nation is real.
It is, man. It's a nation, man. It's a real nation, man.
And Gent was right. He said you haven't had your Raider Nation card punched until you go to an away game, and after that experience, I know exactly what he's talking about because you really learn what your position is in the NFL when you walk into another team stadium. Yeah. You understand what you were put on this earth to do as a Raider fan walking into another team stadium.
Yo, I was lucky enough to see it firsthand in San Diego, man.
There you go. That counts.
That's a home game, bro. Let me tell you that. That's a home game. It was a beautiful sight to see, man. Yeah. And people were coming in, they're like, home sweet home.
Yeah.
And like the fans, when you go up to away games, we always the hometown fans or the people that live in that town or that city, they always say, man, y'all come deep. You guys be serious about your team. You travel thick. Wow. I mean, they're amazed.
Yeah.
At like how we just show up and just take shit over.
The first store I walked into in Kansas City, they just rolled their eyes. Oh, damn, you guys are here again. I was like, yes, we are.
Get used to it.
Yeah.
Better get used to it.
Yep.
Hey, as a matter of fact, did you guys see so there was a post during the Rams game. There was a plane that flew over the top, and it said, "LA belongs to two teams, the Rams and the Raiders."
Oh, dang!
Yeah,
for real?
they ordered a plane, bro.
I
flew
didn't
over
see
the
that.
stadium.
Wow.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I got to get that picture. We'll throw it up on the vlog. That's cool. Yeah, man. Anything else you want to say, Kane, before we get up out of here?
No, man, it's just been a pleasure working with y'all, and I look forward to seeing y'all, talking to y'all next week, man. And just, I've got to keep my eyes open on this trailer, man, and just wait till the movie come out, bro.
There you go.
Right now we watching the trailer. This is a 5-month-long trailer.
Hey, keep your heads up for the sneak peeks too, man. You know how they do the little teasers and they do the.
Oh yeah, that's OTA, and mini camps.
There you go.
Sneak peeks right there.
There you go.
So.
Yeah. I like that analogy a lot, man. No spoilers, man. Spoiler alert. Yeah, hell yeah. Well, cool things, man. Cool stuff. We'll talk to you next week. We gotta arrange an off-season get-together and get all these fools together and have a little barbecue or something.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, sounds good to me. Let me know when, man. I'll be here.
All right, brother.
All right, King.
Okay, man. Talk to y'all next week. Take it easy, Jay.
Later, man.
Hey. I gotta put a smile on my face. I love talking to King, man.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, let's respond to some of these callers. So
Let's do it.
Kind of double back here. 303, you called in twice because you work hard and you're an overachiever, and I appreciate that. So some of you guys didn't hear his first call, and that was a question to Jason Cole, and I appreciate you 303 for breaking those calls up. Actually, had I been able to throw that at Jason, that would have made my job real easy. So I had a family emergency prior to the show. So if you called in with questions for Cole, I did not get your question on air. We did not have time to pre-screen those calls to get started. And then if you heard Cole on a segment, he had a lot to say, very informative, and it's very late out there, nearly midnight. So I don't know that we would have had time anyways. So I apologize. I will make it up to you in the future. But 303, you have every right to be excited, man. And I get the confidence you have. And I agree with your confidence. I don't think folks should get overconfident. What 303 basically said is now we have a coach on the sideline. We should no longer be questioning our coaching staff. Not only do we have a good head coach, and though he's proven, I would say he's now once again unproven. This is like a second rookie season for him coming back.
True that.
That's where I'm at. But you have coordinators now underneath him that are proven guys. So you have a competent coaching staff that is going to hold themselves accountable. And if they can't hold themselves accountable, John Gruden will. We know that for a fact. He's going to at least do that. Yeah. He's already doing that.
Yeah.
So you have every right to be confident, 303. Raider Rockstar, you mentioned special teams. And Che, we were listening to the call, and right away you were like, good take.
Yeah, it was a good take. It's a good take. As far as I mean, I'm pretty sure he was mentioning Sebastian, right?
Yeah, Janikowski and Vecchio, yeah.
Right? And my take is, of course you go Seabass. There's no question there if he's healthy.
If he's healthy.
But if Seabass is not healthy, this might be the end of an era, yo.
Yeah.
This might be the end of an era because I don't see Seabass going to another team.
No.
Right? So
No.
if he can't go this season again, it's probably retirement time.
How cool would that be, though? I want to be a fly on the wall in the room when they sit down together, right?
That'd be dope, man.
That'd be pretty cool.
Dope. That would be dope. So hopefully, Seabass, you're healthy, you're ready to go. You've been chugging some beers and you're getting the leg loose. And yeah, we'll see you this season. Tavecchio, sorry, bro.
Lay off the GHB though, Sebastian. Commitment to ecstasy. Yeah, RRS though. I like that, calling out special teams. As we saw this year, special teams can really hurt your team or really help your team. It's often overlooked portion of the squad, but tremendously important. Big plays happen on special team.
Definitely.
Only. It's all or nothing on special teams,
well,
right?
We saw the problems that we had this year with the special teams.
Yeah.
We had some fumbles. We had some
missed kicks.
Right, missed kicks and just overall just didn't look real good.
Yeah.
Didn't look real good. Aside from Cordell looked good. Mm-hmm. But that's his thing, right? He averages, he usually leads the league in average in return. So hopefully we use him more effectively and we correct a lot of the mistakes that we did, we had last season, man.
Early reports were that tight end coach OG Bobby Johnson was going to be returning to the Raiders, and Raider Rockstar called me out because last week on the show we said permission to seek employment elsewhere was the same thing as being fired. Well, guess what, Raider Rockstar? Bobby Johnson's gone. He just signed papers. He's out. So I'm still right. Now, Rockstar, you're cool though. We give each other a hard time. He's cool. Plunk, man, Plunk. I love this guy's calls. Always filled with a lot of passion. Hey, stay critical, dude. I know you're warming up to him. Stay critical, but be excited. I've said it before, and there it is. Just stay right in your lane.
Yeah.
There's every reason to smile.
Don't swerve.
Yeah, we're Raider Nation's dripping in nostalgia right now.
Yeah.
But don't swerve, man. Stay on your lane. JP will come away fine from the Rooney controversy. I'm sure of it. There's probably going to be a fine, or like we said, worst case scenario, Art Shell. Hey, Art Shell don't want to come back and coach this team, man. So
no, man.
He's doing fine, I'm sure. And respect to Art Shell, man. If it wasn't for Bo Jackson, dude, who knows?
That's what we said, right? We said that, man.
And hell, with the talk of the Niners maybe resurfacing now next year, we were just talking about that on the blog the other day, is 1991 when Bo went down. Had he not gone down, had Roger Craig not fumbled that ball, we would have had a Bay Area Super Bowl that year.
That's true.
NFC Championship was Giants-Niners. AFC Championship was Bills-Raiders. You all know how both of those games went down.
Yeah.
If you're a youngster and you don't know, go to the YouTube machine and figure it out.
Right.
I'm running out of time on the show. I can't break it down for y'all. And then last but not least, David and Melody on Instagram. Big time follower of us, big fan, big supporter, and a cool dude. We talk a lot on Instagram. I really appreciate our conversations. And you're right, man. Gruden's had a bird's eye view and a backstage pass to every single team in this league for the last decade.
Yes, he has.
I don't care how you slice it. That's a decided advantage, at least for the next 2 to 3 years. Until the whole entire league changes because they're afraid of Gruden.
Right.
So I think that's definitely in our favor. The only thing I question is the stamina and fire over the long haul, like Jason Cole pointed out.
Right.
How long will that fire burn? Now that you're back, the grass is always greener. Memories are always better than they were when we were going through them.
True. It's true.
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
It's a hell of a drug.
And so now he's back. So let's see what happens. I'm gonna try to keep the faith. I'm short-term goal. That's fine because I want a Super Bowl right now. But then I want another one,
and another one,
and then I want another one. I want 3 matching trophies to match the ones that were missing somehow at the press conference. Did you miss the trophies in the helmet?
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
And you know what? The press conference.
This is a big effing deal.
It was a big effing deal. It's where the trophy's at.
Right. Right.
And also, we want to say happy birthday to your girl Layla.
Yes, happy birthday to your baby girl, man.
She's 7 years old. It's also a big effing deal.
It's a big effing deal.
That's it, man. It's cool to see him grow up. Mine just turned 9. Chase just came to Earth.
Well, she's about to turn 5 months. And yeah. Time's fine, man.
After she turns 12 months, after 1 year, would you do me a favor and she's 14 months.
No, I'm not that person, man. I'm not that person. I'm barely the person that keeps track of the months, right? I'm just like, my baby's getting big.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just joking. I don't care about those things. But yeah, I'm not the type of person that's still talking about months after, they've a year old. It's like she's a year old, bro. That's what she's gonna be. She's gonna be a year old.
Thank you.
And she's a year and a half. Okay, and then she's gonna be 2.
I want to get a little personal right now on the show. This is an ICU segment, and normally I will call people out, or a funny line on the blog, or maybe a good point, or something. But tonight, right before we got on air, about 5 minutes before Che walked in the studio. I got a text from my brother. Apparently, my mom took a bad fall just a few months ago. She suffered a stroke, and she's been recovering. I was just up there last weekend. I was helping her get the house back together. She seems to be doing well, but as you know, once you have a stroke, the likelihood of having another one increases. And she may have had another one tonight. I don't know. She's at the hospital right now. She's 4 hours away. I may get in my car right after this and shoot straight up there. I may go first thing in the morning. But I kind of put it out there on the blog, and everybody's been really supportive. So I see you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. This community has been really amazing. We have another blogger on there that's kind of going through some stuff himself. I'm not going to say what it is on air because I don't know that he wants that, but just the amount of support and attention that comes to people is amazing. This is the internet. People talk a lot of crap on YouTube and other sites, and hell, even on my site. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we've really cultivated a family there. We got newcomers. We got people that have been lurking for 7 years, making their first post this season. And that's crazy. We haven't even been around 7 years. They're coming from the former website that we pretty much poached. We kind of kept it alive, so to speak. It was dying, and we seized the opportunity. We wanted to keep the community together. I'm not making any money. I got no ads on there. We get donations from our listeners. That pays for our SoundCloud account. And this and that here and there. We had to buy some equipment to keep this podcast going when it crapped out on us. And so I see you guys, man, just the amount of support in every way, every facet. I see you. I appreciate it. I really feel the love. I love you guys too. All the new listeners, everybody out there that's outside the website that's found us, we appreciate it. We looked at the numbers from last week and I was floored.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Yeah,
we appreciate that so much, man. We saw that we were kind of blown. We're blown away. We're like, wow.
Yeah,
wow. This is amazing.
So we're not gonna stop. We're gonna keep going. That's the kind of stuff. See, that's my paycheck when I tune in to the stats and I see people are out there listening and it's growing every week. And I'm like, that's a paycheck for me. That's a paycheck. It's knowing that what we're doing, that what we enjoy doing, that other people are enjoying it too. It's all about Raider Nation. It's all about this fraternity that's 60 plus years old now.
There you go, man.
And it just spins around and around and around. You go to another town, you go to another country, and you see somebody with a Raiders hat on. That's your brother right there.
Yep.
And you already know. Yep. You can walk up to that person and have a conversation. Yeah. You already know that. So that all goes together. Everything I'm saying goes together with where I started this. So I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate your thoughts and prayers, and I'll update all of you on how she's doing as soon as I find out. I'm getting text messages right now while we're on the air. So far no news, but no news is good news. She's there. They're doing tests. It seems to be doing okay. So hang in there. Again, thank you, and do some shout outs.
Yeah, shout it out, man. Shout it out.
So I want to. You always shout out your girl.
Yes.
And I don't.
And she get mad at you, bro?
No, man. She don't listen to this show. She don't listen to this show. But on principle, man, I got to give a shout out to my loving girl, Sophia. Sophie, I love you, girl. You got my back. You're very, very patient. I'm a very busy individual.
There you go.
I have a lot of hobbies, as Che knows, and I put a lot into my work, as does Che. And he's an artist as well. And so he's got a supportive woman in his life who's also an artist. I have a supportive woman in my life who's not an artist but understands this artist. And as an artist, that is really hard to find.
It's really difficult, man. You got a good one when you do.
Yeah.
You got a good one when you do.
Because that could be a real pain in the ass. But, this takes time. The blog takes time. I do music. That takes time, the work. So, shout out to my girl, Sophie. If you come out to the tailgates, you may occasionally meet her, and she's very patient out there as well. So we're out there talking about the 1976 playoff situation, and she's like, "What the?" A couple shout outs to a couple Redditors out there, GISXPRT. I don't know what that stands for, but it's a cool looking name. So shout out to you. Thanks for listening. Deathly Hollows, I appreciate your comments on there. You're a knowledgeable dude. ATX Writer, Viral Wonder, who's been down for a while, holding us down on Reddit, always gives us a good word out there. I know he's a season ticket holder. We're gonna catch up someday, Viral, at the Coliseum. Mega Menahune, if I'm saying that right, over there on Reddit. Chase, who hasn't been on with us for a while, but we're in contact. He's actually going to be doing some writing and some video breakdown for the blog coming up here. So he's got a WordPress login. I'm waiting for him to check in. We'll have him back on the show soon. Shout out to Breaking Black on PJ4F.com. Shout out to Tuckru Fu on PJ4F.com. Maybe the smartest guy on there in a lot of ways. Present company excluded. Autumn Wind. And Futurism, if I'm saying that right, FTRUSM. Shout out to you guys, and shout out to all the callers, everyone that called in. Shout out to Raider Kane. Shout out to Jason Cole. Shout out to Scott Winter. Shout out to Mario Tovar over at Raider Ramble and all the Raider Ramble staff. That's kind of my extended family over there. I decided I needed to give myself a boss.
There you go.
To keep me on my toes. I was like, you know what? I don't like being the boss. So I needed to give myself a boss. And so that's just kind of a way that I'm trying to push myself in 2018. Grow our network, help grow their network. It's a mutually beneficial thing.
Definitely.
They're cool people, very knowledgeable over there. They got a squad that's just building. And so check out RaiderRamble.com. There's some good articles.
Follow them on Instagram too, man. They got Instagram Raider Ramble.
And the way Insta works, you can't post the link right in the post, but they'll give you the headline and the tagline of their article. They give you a little bit of that, and you can head on over, and they give you a little preview, a little taste, a little aperitif.
Yeah.
So
see what it tastes like.
Yeah, and they're grassroots just like us, man. They're not making any money either, and you see how much work they're putting out. It's pretty impressive. It's pretty cool. And Black Hole Banter, which is an affiliated podcast to Raider Ramble too. That's another podcast. If you listen to one podcast, you probably listen to 5 podcasts.
Yeah, you probably listen to more than one podcast.
So I have no qualms about promoting their podcast. So check out Black Hole Banter because, hey, competition.
The more the merrier, man.
The more the merrier.
The more the merrier. Hey. Steel sharpens steel.
That's right. Silver sharpens silver.
There you go.
I don't even know if that's true, but it sounds cool. It sounds cool.
Oh, man. Hey, also shout out to all the new listeners, man. I don't know that we know all of you guys yet, but obviously by the numbers that we had this past week, we have some new listeners, and we appreciate you guys. Of course, we always appreciate the regulars, but we're glad to have you, and join us in the other platforms as well, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I guess that's it for this week's show, yeah?
Yeah.
Tune in every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio, or wherever your podcast is distributed. Call in, leave a message for next week. The phone line is open now. You can call in right now, and we'll get your comment on the air, 408-909-PJFF. Don't forget, we do publish fan-submitted articles, so send us your best write-ups. You can hit me up at the email address, pillagingjustforfun@gmail.com. And lastly, get dipped in some pillaging gear. Head on over to pj4f.com/shop. Our boys over at Creative Media Monterey designed a really nice logo for us, and those shirts are cheap. They're available in all sizes, and you're going to look good.
You're going to look real good.
You're going to look real nice. And I'm Kenny Stapler, joined as always
by your boy Chet.
And we out here.
Peace.
Go Raiders.
Just win, baby.